Hi, my name is David Cook, and I'm the lead pastor at Cold Springs Community Church in Placerville, California, United States of America. And very excited to be coming to Melbourne to be a part of the Growing Healthy Core Conference and to be with you.
Hi, I'm Gary Cooper, lead pastor of Waypoint Christian Fellowship in Richmond, California.
We wanted to take a couple of moments just to introduce ourselves, to let you know what you're up against when you are coming out to this time in Melbourne. As I said, my name is David, and I've been pastor here at Cold Springs Church for 15 years. And when I came to Cold Springs Church, it was a really highly conflicted church that had probably about 80 people in it. They had built a new building, and in the process of building that building had gone through 3 church splits. And so when I came, it was a tired place. It was a tired people that really didn't have a whole lot of vision for what the future was. It was more about survival and just being able to pay as many bills as they possibly could, which wasn't a lot because there weren't many people, there wasn't much money, and there wasn't much vision for the future and hope for the future. But God really did call me to come to Cold Springs Church and to be the pastor here, and I had a very strong sense of that. And I came to Cold Springs almost at the exact same time that Growing Healthy Churches was going through a transformation itself, much as you've experienced in Melbourne. And Paul Borden was an essential part of the leadership, and so I was the recipient of much of the training that took place and really drank deeply of that and began to do some new things and to try some new things and to take the risks that are involved with change and to invite the church to be a part of that. And so over these last 15 years, we've continued to see God do some really great things in transforming people's lives and for our church to see some growth. And over the last 15 years, we've baptized about 300 people that have made commitments of new faith. And we've grown from that original 80 or so people, which was weighted largely into the senior adults, to having about 400 people on a weekend service. And we've gone from being one service on a Sunday morning, where literally during the week the church was used probably about 2.5 hours. Their facilities were used about 2.5 hours, to having at this point 4 services on a Sunday morning, and we're about ready to add another service on a Thursday night, and having various programs for different groups of people during the week. And so one of the uniquenesses about our community is that our community values smallness. I live in an area that I would call as suburban rural, sort of this mix. People drive down to Sacramento, which is the major city near us, to work, or they work here in the community and small business. And so we've been able to grow by trying to keep the tension of being small and yet adding the services and providing the excellence that more people and resources give us. And so if you came to Cold Springs Church, you'd probably have a sense that maybe this is a small church. And that's part of that's by design. But through the multiple services that we're able to reach more people and to help them to grow deeper in their life in Jesus. You'll hear through the conference that it has not been an easy time. It has not been a smooth transition. That there have been times of growth, and our growth has never been exponential or explosive. It's been gradual, that there have been times of plateau in the process. But God has been faithful through all of that, and we've continued to see Him lead us. And we're thankful for the things that God is doing and that He's continuing to reach people and to reach new people for Jesus. I wanted to take a chance to introduce myself of who I am a little bit and my family background. I'm married and have been married for 26 fantastic years to a great woman, Pam. She's also a marathoner. She's a runner, and she runs faster and further than I do. And we go running together, but she literally runs circles around me whenever we go running together. So, but she does keep me healthy and keeps me going. So I appreciate her very much. We have 4 kids. Our oldest is 18 years old, Keenan, and then Noah is a senior in high school, and he's 17 years old. And then Daniel is a sophomore in high school, second year of high school, and he is 15 years old. And then Eliza, our daughter, she is 14 years old, and she is a freshman, first year in high school. And so we've had a very busy family, very full family, and that has played a part in the whole journey of ministry as well. But God has been a part of that, and we've seen His faithfulness in just amazing ways. Our youngest 2 children, Daniel and Eliza, they're adopted, and that was something that I knew that I was going to do when I was in high school. And God sort of brought that together at the right time, and Daniel and Eliza have been just a tremendous part of God's work in my life in helping me to see God's faithfulness and His grace, and helping me to live and to be a person of grace. So some of the things that I like to do, I told you that my wife likes to run, and she's gotten me into that. And so I've done a few marathons. I've done triathlon. And so bicycling and swimming and running has been something that's been really good for me. I enjoy playing golf. I enjoyed playing basketball growing up. One of the things that my wife says about me, which helps to understand me a little bit, is she says, David's not happy unless he's a little unhappy. And so I'm the sort of guy that always is wanting things to be better, wanting things to grow. And so that description of I'm not happy unless I'm a little unhappy really does describe some of who I am. One of the things that I really love to do is I love coaching. And I've done coaching on the sports arena for a number of years, but I love life coaching and ministry coaching. And over the last 8 or 9 years, I've been a part of developing coaching within Growing Healthy Churches. And I've coached pastors all over the United States, coached pastors in Ethiopia, and really love seeing people understand what it is that it takes to get to the next level, and then taking the steps to go to that next level. And that's one of the things that I'm just really looking forward to, is spending time with you and helping through this conference and through our time together to really seek what is God's next level for you, and how can we help you to reach those dreams and those goals and that vision that God has given you.
By the way, David, homie don't run. I like to competitively sail on San Francisco Bay. I like to ride bikes. But I understand that we're going to be sharing stories throughout this session, and I want to share with you a little bit about my story and how it's intersected with God and how He's worked in my life. I survived a war in Vietnam only to come home and fail in a marriage. I was successful in business, yet I was probably a functional alcoholic. And yet in the midst of all that, God still had a story and a plan waiting for me. At age 36, when I hit a particularly tough spot, I was arguing with someone who wanted to share Jesus Christ with me. And I grabbed their Bible, not knowing where to look for a tough question, and I opened to Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. At that moment, Christ began to work in my life. I am happily remarried, have 3 children, 2 of them are my adopted stepkids, and I have 6 grandchildren. My wife and I will be married, beat this one, 36 years this year. And so God has been unbelievably great in my life. At about age 48, the next part of my story was to happen. God began to tug on me about entering seminary. I had no idea what that meant, but I chose to follow him. And in the midst of that time in school, my wife and I ministered to a rural church that was on its last days. We had the joy of planting a church in the suburbs, and it grew dramatically, but all along the Spirit was tugging at my heart to go to the urban center of the Bay Area, Richmond, California. When we went there, we knew it was God's calling. We just didn't know how difficult the journey would be. We came to Richmond, California in the early 2001, and what we discovered was a broken people in a broken place. As the consultant from GHC said, the church was possibly the most dysfunctional that they had ever consulted. We didn't know how severe it was until, of course, we got in the midst of it. But early on, we decided two core things that we have used all along in Richmond. One, that we would take the church from an inward self-focus into an outward focus into the community and beyond. And we have accomplished that through our church and through the ministries that we support both locally and globally. The other thing that we would become, I believed, was not maintenance, that is just doing the day-to-day work of church, but we would become missional in our approach. And those two things we have held now for the last 12 plus years as we see what God is doing in the church and in the lives of the people of the church. We started our function to use an approach of found in Ephesians 4:11 through 16, that my job was to equip the saints for the work of ministry. And so as we did that, all of our ministries are lay-led. All of our leaders are trained and equipped and supported by us, but virtually all the ministries of the church are done not by a pastoral staff, but by the people of the church. We've led the church now to go from an all-white congregation to a multi-ethnic because we reflect Richmond and the surrounding community. And we now support, although we have not grown the size that we thought we should and would, what we have grown is laterally. We support two churches, two other urban churches. We planted a church, Waypoint, Bangkok. We have a work going on in Chongqing, China, and Zambia, and in Haiti. So we now have people committed not only on a local way, but on a global way to lead others to Jesus Christ.
We're excited to be coming to Melbourne, to hear your story, and to help you as you define that story as it goes forward. We know that God has worked a story in each of our lives and our ministries, and we're going to share that as a part of the teaching and training that we do. But really, this conference is about you and your story and God's story and your community's story, and bringing all those three together, and then figuring out how does the gospel come into that. And we really want to thank you. We appreciate very much the opportunity to be with you, not only to share with what God is doing, but also to learn from you. And we will see you soon in Melbourne. God bless you.